Hey guys, Pat here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. This is the final in the series of me putting this pool table together that I purchased. Heidi will have a playlist up there for you guys if you're interested in each one of these segments. Purchase this pool table used. This segment here is going to show me installing the rails on the slate, and that will complete this project. So let's get started. So as you can see, I have all the parts laid out here. I went ahead and marked the pockets, each pocket to each corner that it came off of, respectively. I have half of the rails loosely mounted at this time. These are just on hand tight, so I can make some adjustments as I finish the second half. And this is how you assemble it. You assemble it in two halves. So these four rails here I will mount up, and then I'll go ahead and hook those two pockets up. I'll put the two side pockets in the rails that I just assembled. And before I do that, I saved the cutting of the rail mount holes until I got ready to go ahead and to execute that particular portion of the assembly. I didn't want this to fray any more than I had to. Matter of fact, when I go to cut these holes, it wouldn't have been a bad idea to put a little bit of glue around here just to keep them from fraying. But I haven't seen anybody else do that, so it must not be a concern. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those holes now. So here's a technique you might be familiar with. I just want to go ahead and feel where the hole is. There's a depression right there where my thumb is. I go ahead and insert the knife, and I'm resting the knife. I'm cutting against the edge of the slate and then pushing down lightly. That helps to get a nice clean cut. Okay, next I'll just go ahead and insert the side pockets. And now assembly of the corner pockets. So each one of these rails has to switch over. So this stud here has a threaded tap through it, and it just slides into the end of this rail here. And then we'll insert a bolt into this hole, and it'll capture that little stud, or whatever you call that. The machine screw will run through here and intercept that post coming off of the pocket. Now this rod, or the post, it's actually solid, and it makes a loop all the way around the pocket and goes into this other rail and makes it secure. And use a screwdriver to go ahead and pry that in, because that fits up tight. That draws that in. I'm making sure that I'm not penetrating clear down into where I scratched the new pool tablecloth. Now I put the machine screw at an angle that way to capture the hole, but I don't want to strip the threads. So just after I just barely catch the threaded portion of the stud, or the post that runs through there, I take a regular tip screwdriver and I pry this way, and then I screw straight down in order to get the screw square, because you want to be careful. You don't want to strip the screw. And I do the same to the other side. Alright, now I'm going to be assembling the side pocket. Again, here's that metal piece that runs clear through the pocket and out the other side. That's what holds your rails together. And the same thing to the other side. Okay, now I have to turn all this over to where I can connect the two side pockets together. And I've seen guys, you know, assemble these like this, but I've never really seen anybody assemble the two parts together. So I'm kind of winging it on this, and if you guys have any good suggestions, share it with us in the comment section. So I'm going to carefully turn this over, being mindful not to rub it on the table. I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to offset this. I have to get this as straight as possible so the hole in the bottom lines up. Okay, now each one of these rails has 3 of these bolt sets and washers. We'll have 1 in the center and 2 on the edges. And that's what we cut those holes out for on the felt into the slate. So we're just going to put these in loose at the moment. And we'll go all around the table and fasten them all in the same way, just finger tight. Now, if you remember, those holes in the slate were about 1 3/4 of an inch to an inch, so that gives us latitude to square up the table, make adjustments for square. Now, by line of sight, I'm going to go ahead and get this nice and straight. Need to bring this in just a little bit. Now, I suppose you can use probably a string line on here or a nice long straight edge. But line of sight works really well. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to tighten these 2 end bolts here just a little bit more, just to where the rails won't move. and go eyeball it again. Okay, that looks really good. And I think the other thing that you have to keep in mind is the elevation between this point in the table and this point in the table. We want to make those the same. And then we just go along and secure the other 4 bolts per side after you get done with that alignment. It's off just a tiny bit, so I'm going to drag this corner out just a little bit while this is fastened down. Try that. It changes a little bit when you tighten the bolts, so I might have to do this a couple of times. Now you can see how that line of sight is a pretty good way to get square. Okay, now all I have to do is secure the pockets to the bottom of the slate. Okay, here we are underneath the pool table, and it's time to secure the pocket to the bottom of the slate. And so I'm just going to secure this. The guys that had this before, the manufacturer, just filled this full of staples, and I didn't like that. I tried putting a couple of staples in there with this electric gun, and I just didn't like what was going on there. So what I'm going to do is, I've seen guys do this, they'll put screws and a washer on there. So what I've got going on is I have a screw and a washer on just like this, and I'll pre-drill this drill bit. Is this the right size for the shank on the screw? So the only thing that's going to penetrate the hole and hold will be the threads. So first I'll just put a staple in there just to hold the straps in place. Okay, that's just to hold it in place so that I can pre-drill. Okay, that's going to hold 100% better than those little flimsy staples. I had the screws, I had the washers, so no harm done. Yeah, that's going to hold a whole lot better. It's nice putting these holding staples in here so my screw stays lined up with the hole, the pilot hole that I put in there. Okay, I'll go ahead and get the last 5 of those secure. So we're going to be racking from this side. So I want to find out exactly where we put the rack. The front ball of the rack goes on a dot up here, and that dot is going to be located exactly in between these 2 sight points here. You have a sight point here, here, and here, but it's the middle sight point. And the sight point is actually going to be the where you're going to rack is going to be exactly center between these 2 sight points. 44, 22. So 22 inches will be right in the center of the table this way, and in between this sight dot and this sight dot right here, we're going to be at 22 inches. That dot right there is centered between the 2 sight points here and center right here. So this dot here, this sight dot back over here, will line up to center on this as well. Okay, let's see how our roll is. Well, I hope this helped somebody out this series. Again, this is my first go at it, so Heidi, she's pretty happy with it. There are a few little things that I would need practice on, but doing it yourself actually really helps in understanding how a pool table is assembled. You learn just a little bit more about upholstery, a little bit more about fabrics, a little bit more about construction, So in the future, if I was to ever go and look at another pool table, I would have a little bit more understanding of what to look for, what to shy away from. So it's been a real good experience for me, and hopefully it has been for you guys too. I've shown you all the things here that were anomalies to me that I think I would have changed, or things that I need to practice at. So I hope that this video series has helped you have a better grasp on pool tables. Thanks for stopping by. Take care and God bless.